right, hello, welcome everybody. My name is David Conroy, and I'm one of the directors of emerging technology here at NAR. And I'm really excited to be here today to talk about a topic that I'm personally passionate about, and that's emerging technology trends. Let's dive right in. So, as an emerging technology researcher, this is one of my favorite quotes. The next big thing will start out looking like a toy. This is a quote from renowned engineer and investor Chris Dixon. And what Chris is saying here is that, and what he's trying to explain is that the reason why the next big thing often sneaks by incumbents or existing players in a market is because the initial use cases are often dismissed as a toy. So why is disruptive technology so often dismissed? I think it's a combination of issues. The first being that, when something is first launched, the first iteration or like the beta version always seems to just barely undershoot people's needs. Like, oh, it's great that this new lead gen tool can do X, Y, and Z, but I need it to do this one other thing. Therefore, it's no valuable to my business and I can't use it. This is something that has happened hundreds of times over the course of history. What I'm sharing here on my screen now is actually a Western Union telegraph. Western Union back in the 1800s, telegraphs used to be their main form of business. Their main customers were the railroads. They actually had an opportunity to buy all of the telephone patents from Alexander Graham Bell, but because it was an emerging technology at the time, and it only worked, say, city to city, but not coast to coast, or they only had a few 100,000 phones in existence. Western Union was like, hey, look, I need to go coast to coast with this. My customers, the railroads, this thing is cute, but it's only working in short distances for now. Therefore, it has no commercial value and we won't invest in it. So, and again, that's just one example. Like you could think of others. Like remember when the iPhone came out and BlackBerry was like, oh no, we think people will want physical keyboards forever. They got decimated by the touch screens. Mainframe computers getting replaced by desktops. There's just, I could go on and on. But the reason I'm mentioning this to you today is that some of the technologies that I'm showing you, in my opinion, they will have a substantial impact on real estate. But if we looked at just what it can do today and not anticipate what it can do tomorrow, it would be very easy to dismiss and move on. And I urge you today to not do that. And that technology that we're going to be talking about is artificial intelligence, and specifically generative AI, a new form that has risen in popularity over the past 6 to 12 months. So for those of you who don't know me, again, David Conroy at NAR. I'm a lifelong technologist. I've been in real estate for 14 years now. Actually got my start at the Massachusetts State Association of Realtors before getting hired to do emerging tech research for NAR. I'm a perpetual early adopter. I love to experiment with tech. I accidentally showed this a few seconds too early, but here's a perfect example of me being an early adopter. This is me mining Bitcoin at my desk in 2013. And again, fitting with my analogy of the future looking like a toy, at least once a day, someone would come into my room or my office and say, hey, what is that toy on your desk? What are you doing? And I know the opinions of people vary quite greatly on whether crypto will be the future of finance or if it'll have an impact on real estate or not. It's still hard to argue that it hasn't been one of the more disruptive technologies of the past 10 years. And again, another one that was dismissed by many people because they thought it was magic internet money. And who knows, maybe it is. But again, here's what we have to expect for today. So I'm going to talk about two types of generative AI. And I'm also going to give you some examples of how realtors can use them as well. So we'll start with kind of just a basic educational layer to get everyone's on the same base level. And then we'll talk about some real estate specific examples. So the two pieces of technology that are going to drive the rest of this presentation are DALL-E 2 and ChatGPT. And they are both made by the same company called OpenAI. But again, to level set here, in case there's people out there who haven't heard of generative AI or might not have seen what it's capable of, Essentially, what generative AI is, it's a type of artificial intelligence that uses what's called deep learning techniques to generate new and original content based off an instruction. So these you essentially feed in an instruction to these models, and they will return images, text, video, audio, whatever you'd like. Now, my presentation kind of forks here. So this first part of generative AI, I'm going to be talking about images and how generative AI can impact real estate from the image perspective. And then following on later on, I will show you a different type of ChatGPT that's more focused on conversations. So let's look at some examples. This is my favorite part of the presentation. So, so the following are actual text prompts that I provide to these services, and the photos that I'm about to display are created in seconds by artificial intelligence, no human interaction at all, no Photoshop, no nothing. So here's the instruction: a transparent sculpture of a duck made out of glass. Incredibly realistic. What kind of blows me away here is a couple of things. First, I asked for it to be transparent. I didn't mention anything about a painting, but it knew that it needed to put something behind it to prove that it was transparent. And I actually gave this presentation just last week, and someone said, someone corrected me and he said, like, well, actually, that's more of a translucent duck. I'm like, okay, come on, this is new tech. Let's cut it some slack. All right, let's look at another one. Here's a fun one: a cute corgi that lives in a house made out of sushi. So, again, I realize how absurd this is, but it's really incredible that images like this are being created in seconds. So hopefully my introductory quote of like, hey, don't dismiss this because it looks like a toy, starting to make sense now. We'll do one more silly one. This time I'm requesting a teddy bear swimming at the Olympic 400-meter butterfly event, and we'll see how it does. So what's interesting here on this one to me is, obviously it looks pretty realistic to me. It looks like an Olympic swimming event. It even looks like the teddy bear is doing the appropriate stroke of a butterfly stroke. But on this image here, it looks like there's a water drop. And I'm wondering, like, was of the images that these were trained upon, because that's how this works. These AI models, they ingest tens of millions of photos and use that to generate these new ones. I wonder if on one of those photographs that it was trained on, if there was like a drop of water on the lens or something. But at this point, you got to be thinking, all right, what is this crazy person doing? They're playing with these toys. They're racing teddy bears. They're building sushi houses for corgis. What the heck does this have to do with real estate? Well, let me show you. I think this image modification generative AI is going to impact your business in three ways. The first is going to be renovation previews. If you've got a listing that is still under construction and you'd like to give consumers or potential buyers an idea of what it might look like, or say you're on the buyer agent side, and you have a client who is looking for homes, and with low inventory, they're having trouble finding the right home. Maybe you could help them see the potential in a home that wasn't on their list using tools like this. Second, listing photo modifications. You're all probably doing this in some way or another already when it comes like modifying lighting and such. I think generative AI will take that to the next level. And then finally, stock photo generation, which is a high cost, high liability area for realtors. But in the future, perhaps with generative AI, that's one less thing to worry about. Let's take a look at how it works in practice in real estate. So again, this product is DALL-E 2. It's by a company called OpenAI. And while it can not only generate images from prompts, it can also edit images that are uploaded. So this is kind of like where I see it starting to bleed into real estate. So here's a screenshot that I took from a Matterport scan of a home that is mid-renovation. You see appliances everywhere. I uploaded it to DALL-E 2 and gave it a simple prompt. Well, maybe a little bit more than simple, but I asked it to remove everything in the room, paint the walls white, add a modern kitchen on the back wall with blue cabinets, and with that instruction, it returns dozens of variations of what you requested. Now, some of these, you will get a lot of garbage out of these systems, but as you use them, you get better at providing the instructions, which then leads to much better results. So again, is this perfect? No, but it would give me a general idea of what it could look like based on what I requested. So that's like a renovation preview. Um, and again, this is faster. This is returned faster than I could even open up Photoshop on my computer. So um, imagine what that could do for people who are trying to get an idea of what something would look like with different color floors, different color paints, things like that. All you have to do is, I used to say, what you say is what you get. You simply just type in your instruction and you get back what you ask for. Let's look at listing photo modification. So here's a home on the Cape. It's beautiful. It's got a nice size backyard with a sand pit. Well, imagine you're a seller's agent and you're trying to make sure you attract the widest net um, of potential buyers, that people who may not have families, and so you say, we're going to remove the sand pit to make it more approachable. You don't want to send the photographer back out there, but it's going to be removed before the sale. So instead of going out and redoing the photo, you could simply ask AI to remove the sand pit. And it is smart enough to know what the sand pit is, how to remove it, and how to backfill it in a way. This is what the property will be when it's bought or sold. It's just a way to kind of save you time. You can edit listing photos using instructions as opposed to Photoshop. So yeah, simply ask to remove it, and it's done. No Photoshop. Let's look at this potential sale from the other side. Say that you're a buyer's agent and you're representing someone like me, who my dream home is having like a brick patio and a fire pit in my backyard where I could entertain. And I'd be less interested in something like a sand pit. Well, here on the buyer agent side, you could take these photos, use generative AI to help your client see like what the potential of a property could be. So we can start daisy chaining these commands together. So here we could say, remove the sand pit, but add a fire pit and a brick patio. Got to string them together. And again, like right here, you get a general idea of what it would look like without having to call a contractor. In the future, I think these things will be kind of like we have Siri and Alexa and Google Homes. I think these tools will be voice powered in the future, making edits like this even easier. You can use generative AI to alter your listing photos to get a general idea of what a property could look like. And it's so much cheaper than the current image editing apps. It's like fractions of a penny each photo. So, and all of these tools that I've showed have free tiers, so you can go in and start playing with them if you'd like. Here's one more quick example. This is, remove the sand pit, add a pool. Kind of included this in there to show you that like it's not perfect. Like this pool doesn't look like a luxury pool. Almost looks more like a watercolor painting of a pool. But again, just general idea, quick, cheap, dirty. So I've shown you renovation previews. I've seen your listing photo modifications. One last area where where generative AI is, in terms of images will impact real estate, and that is stock photo generation. So I don't know how many brokers or agents on the call here have purchased stock photos in the past, but for the higher quality ones, the higher end ones, it could be anywhere between $100, $200, $300, $400, $500 I've seen for stock photos. And so if you do things the proper way and you buy photos and you use the correct licenses and you pay that fee, it's really high cost. If you've accidentally or someone on your team or someone in your market has kind of done the not so ethical route, did Google image searches for images and then started using them in materials, that is a super risky thing to do. People get sued for that all of the time. You really don't want to be caught using photos out of license. So you either have one way where it's really costly or another way where it's really risky and not advised, or you have this new way, and that's to use generative AI to help you generate your stock photos. Let's take a look at an example here. Again, we'll stick to the Cape. I want a Cape house, 2 or 3 stories, a moderately steep pitched roof, large central chimney, and very little ornamentation. And with that, here are 4 homes that it returned immediately. I just took like a screenshot of one of the rows. And these would work fine on a website or a business card or an email blast if this is just in the background with your marketing on top of it, or maybe change the opacity down. And these aren't real homes. No one owns these. No photographer owns the rights to them. No architect owns the floor plans. All of these are generated by AI. So this should be an incredible resource. Even your email newsletters or your social media posts. Uh, we all know that social media and emails convert higher if you're able to use images, but in the past, it's a high cost or high risk area. Not any longer. So I believe that in those three ways, generative AI for images is going to really impact real estate. Again, stock photo generation, listing previews, and renovation previews. So with that, I'd kind of like to shift gears to the second half of my presentation. What I just showed you has actually been around and possible for about, say, 6 to 8 months. It really took off in the summer of 2022. What I'm showing you now, which is ChatGPT or AI for conversations, this has really exploded in the past 6 months. So there is a large advantage, I'd say, for real estate professionals who want to get an edge on, or a leg up on competition to start using these tools before they're just everywhere. So the way I would describe ChatGPT, for those of you who haven't had a chance to play around with it yet, it's like having an incredibly intelligent assistant who can understand and respond to your messages just like a person would. It's trained just like the image models. It's trained on a vast amount of data and can provide you mostly accurate and relevant information on a wide range of topics. And it does a surprisingly great job with real estate. I know in the past we've all had these terrible experiences with online chatbots, like trying to get a discount on your cable bill or trying to figure out some weird charges on your credit card. And that chatbot experience is so terrible it makes you not even want to talk to the company anymore. This is not that. This is approaching near human level intelligence or human level replacement like intelligence. And if you're curious about how smart these bots are, well, they're smart enough to pass the most prestigious MBA program in the country, the Wharton's MBA program. It's passed the U.S. medical licensing exam. When I first started talking about this in January or so, it had passed components of the bar exam. Now it's able to pass the entire thing. And remember when I talked about the Western Union example and my opening quote, how people fail to anticipate how quickly technology can be adopted? ChatGPT had 1 million users in its first week. That took Netflix 4 years to get to 1 million users. Facebook, the piece of tech that essentially invented the viral category, that took them a better part of 10 months to get to 1 million users. And again, ChatGPT did that in 5 days. And with the advancement of ChatGPT, they building on what they built with DALL-E 2 last year, they've attracted some really prominent investors as well. Microsoft has invested $10 billion into this company. So you're going to start seeing these tools just show up in Outlook or PowerPoint or any of the Microsoft Office suite. And then at the same time, it's going to start this like arms war. So you'll start seeing this on Google Suites as well. So let's look at ChatGPT for realtors. So one of the ways where I think realtors should use this is they should treat ChatGPT like a muse, right? Say you're looking for inspiration for content and you need some starter ideas. ChatGPT is great for that. We can even do a couple of these live here in a second to just show you how effective it is. Say you need outlines for a blog. Say you need to summarize that blog into a tweet. ChatGPT just crushes that sort of thing. It can even help with listing descriptions. Let's look at an example of that. So here I've instructed ChatGPT to write a listing description for my street and town in Somerville, Massachusetts. I gave it a little bit to work with, but not much. Just that the home is historic and that it needs renovations and that the description should be written in the tone of a realtor. So it does a decently good job. Now, there's a lot of text here. I'm not expecting you to read it all, but I will call just a couple things forward. So it suggests that the home has a rich history and a character that is truly unique. It goes on to say, it's full of potential, just waiting for the right buyer to bring it back to its former glory. It calls it a diamond in the rough and perfect for the buyer looking for a project. Again, kind of queuing off like those just one or two hints that I gave it. It continues on saying, yes, this home needs TLC, needs renovations, but with a little TLC, it'll shine. It then talks about my neighborhood, which is a vibrant arts community. It's got great nightlife, easy access to public transport. It even mentions perfect for young professionals. And it even has a hard close at the end, schedule a tour today. Now, the reason I share this, does anyone notice anything interesting there about the description of the neighborhood? I'm not a lawyer, I'm a tech researcher, but I believe this has violated fair housing laws by saying what type of neighborhood this is perfect for. I don't believe it can say young professionals. So the reason why I share this is, while great and an amazing time saver and a great way to gain efficiency, the output from these AI models has to be checked by a professional, right? Like if we obviously, this is a obvious fair housing law that could end a violation. It could end up in a lot of trouble. But even going back to this image one, you have to be careful that, all right, well, maybe maybe one of the heating vents was ruined or moved, or this window was moved, and you have to be careful. Like, at what point are we not just helping people picture what it could look like, and instead doing like material changes? So you have to be very careful when you use these tools, because while they seem very, very intelligent, they always need to be reviewed by a professional. Let's look at another example. This time, instead of listing descriptions, we are going to ask for some social media marketing tips. Say I'm a new agent, I'm in California, say Sacramento, and I need to attract new clients because I'm just starting my business. I'd really like to work with new home buyers. So I asked ChatGPT to give me some suggestions on. Give me 3 suggestions on how to attract new home buyers to Sacramento, California, and immediately it returns these 3 ideas. The River City's waterfront renaissance, exploring Sacramento's revitalized waterfront communities. And also then goes on to talk about a second idea, Sacramento's farm to fork capital, how the city's thriving culinary scene influences home buying decisions. And then third, the Sacramento's green spaces and outdoor lifestyle, the perfect combination for active home buyers. That one also, like, it gives me the red flags start to go up about when you start talking about the ability of people and making sure you're not being discriminatory in your advertising and your marketing. So I would skip number 3 here and I'd say, okay, ChatGPT, please give me a blog outline for number 2. That farm to fork capital article seems interesting. And immediately, like faster than you can even read it, it'll pop up a full outline. I had to remove some of it from here because it was so detailed. But it breaks it up by section. It gives you a title, your intro, talk about the origins of the farm to fork movement, the role of local farmers and the neighborhoods where the food scene is thriving. Then it gives you more titles or more sections like, hey, look at the, then mention the impact on the housing market. Even it's almost like it's Googling this stuff for you and bringing it back. Like, I've never even been to Sacramento, but here it's mentioning like 3 or 4 upcoming food events that would be great to write about. And if you wanted to, you could just say, okay, this is great, write the whole thing for me. But that would be difficult to show in a presentation. So instead, what I've done is, okay, we love this idea. Can you please now write me like a social media caption for it? And stop me when this looks familiar, but here is like a really nice, or what I would expect to see from a blog post like this. So here you go. It has emojis. Discover why Sacramento's thriving culinary scene is a game changer for home buyers. It talks about the vibrant farmers markets and how it's changing the real estate market. Don't miss out on these tasty neighborhoods. Here's a link. And it'll even give you like all of the appropriate hashtags, hashtag home buying, hashtag farm to fork, real estate, food lovers. it could really automate nearly all of your content marketing, whether it's stock photos for images for your blogs, ideas for your blogs, outlines, or actual creations of the blogs, where you could then, I know I suggested at the start it should be used as a muse, and I think that's where it's best, where you can still go in and add your own voice to it. But there is nothing stopping you from having this do the entirety of it. That wouldn't be recommended. So to recap, generative AI is here. It's already affordable and it's easy to use. And you should start. It's my opinion that you should start trying to find ways to incorporate it into your business. ChatGPT, while a little bit more new, will be an incredible game changer. And coming off my last point there, where if the cost of content creation approaches zero, then there's going to be a lot more spam and a lot more garbage out there. So really what I feel like the emergence of this technology, what it emphasizes is the role and the importance of the relationship that you have with your clients. And I know I've read a bunch of articles out there that are really overhyped this tech, and I hope I haven't overhyped it today. I think it's incredible, but I think we're far from it, impacting, the number of jobs that people seem to be predicting right now. And I'd like to leave you with one example of why I feel that way. So remember before I did the text to image prompts, here is, and I cherry picked the ones that look the best so I could show you and get you excited. But this isn't perfect. And to highlight that, I asked it for 4 photos of a salmon swimming upstream. And here's what it returned: a bunch of salmon fillets in a river. So again, it's incredibly realistic, but it's not quite what I was looking for. And also just another reminder why everything that's generated by this has to be reviewed by you. Here's a quote from the actual founder of OpenAI, where they self-admit, ChatGPT is not perfect, but then it's almost like they're taking shots here, but neither are you, right? And it's together, when you can use these tools together, that it really amplifies you and brings you to the next level. And I have to agree. I use it every single day. It's a fantastic tool to add to your arsenal as a real estate professional, because I believe it'll save you time and help you focus on the important parts of the transaction, and that's your relationship with the client. So if you've enjoyed this topic, I invite you all to NAR's premier prop tech event called the IOI Summit. That's August 29th and 30th in Miami, Florida, where we'll be having speakers on generative AI, Web3, crypto, prop tech, anything future of real estate we talk about at the IOI Summit. So if you like generative AI and you want to learn more, my personal invitation to you to join us in Miami for our IOI Summit. And I know we had about a half hour for today, but obviously this is a technology and that I'm super passionate about and I can talk about all day. If you'd like to continue the conversation, you can find me at dave.realestate, and then I'll connect you right up to all my social channels. I'd love to continue the conversation there. And again, thank you for the opportunity to provide this content for your association today. I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.